What's up?
Here we are.
Let me just, I'm just gonna get this.
Uh, can't hear you, Scott.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me now?
Still can't. It says connecting, so probably any minute.
How about now? How about now? Test, test.
Yeah, I'm still not hearing for some reason. Hmm.
Volume on yours?
I see your lips are moving. Oh, there it goes.
Test, test.
There it is.
Was that the problem?
I didn't touch my volume. All of a sudden it just appeared.
Oh, okay. All
So,
right. Well, that works
oh yeah.
too. That works too.
All of a sudden it just,
Is it still good for you?
yep, perfect.
Okay, cool. Alrighty. Uh, you see it fine? All that's good?
Yep. It looks like there's more space today in the back.
I think I moved it back more.
It looks good. No, it looks great.
Okay. All right, cool. That's cool. All right. How you doing?
Doing good. Doing good. Ready for day three.
Today's gonna be good. I love talking about mindset.
I was just gonna say that. My favorite topic.
My favorite day.
Yeah, the best one.
Favorite day.
Yep.
I don't know if it everybody else's favorite day, but it's my favorite day.
I think it could be after today.
I would put bets on today's gonna be the least attended day.
We'll see.
I think it is because I'm gonna write some. One thing that we could do better is put in the email what we were gonna teach today
Hmm.
for the showing up, which obviously wouldn't really work because I didn't know what we were gonna talk about until today. But I think I should do that. All right, what time is it? 4?
7 o'clock. Well, four for you. I'm like 7 o'clock. Nope, 4 o'clock.
All right, let's get started.
All right.
What's up, everybody? Oh, actually, hope you are all having a good week so far. How's everyone feeling today? How's everyone feeling after the last 2 days? We'll just start off there. And today we're talking about mindset. Tomorrow we're going to be going through actual kind of screenshots and kind of giving you over the shoulder kind of view of things. And on day 5, I'm going to be sharing with you how to implement the stuff in terms of where you are for how much, what type of team you have when it comes to being able to implement from a perspective of how much revenue you have, of where you are in the business. So more of the actual like, here is how to get to where I was in 2015 and then 2016, and just the different patterns and things I've seen. So I just want to make sure, can you hear me, see me in the chat as of all workshops today? And because today's mindset, today I was actually just joking with Gian earlier. I was like, the day might be the least attended day, but it's also actually the most important day. So if you're here and you're watching this, it's really, really, really important stuff. Today's probably, of the 5 days, probably the least, will probably be the least watched and the most important, which unfortunately is how most things go. It's the things you need to watch, people don't, and the things that people don't need to watch, they watch. But regardless, for those that are here, I certainly appreciate you, and I'm certainly excited for what is in store for today. I'd love to just know, of the 2 days that we've had together so far, I'd love to know what your largest kind of takeaway has been thus far. Just to type into the chat real quick, just so I can kind of get a pulse for what's been the most interesting, exciting up to this point. I've been seeing the emails and messages on Facebook and that type of thing, as well, of course, the people that are watching the replay. Yeah, it's really interesting because everybody has their own thing for where they're to in their business and their life. And it's always, incredibly interesting for me to know what part really resonated. Let business flow and let the energy flow, and the business is simple. Structure around the business that is needed for the skip the pitch messenger sale process to actually work. I really love how you talk about alignment and energy exchange, importance of systems. You get people prepared to buy instead of trying to sell. Yeah, all of those things are, so incredibly important. We're going to talk about energy flow, and we're going to talk about business flow and your mindset and alignment today a lot, actually. So with that said, we'll get into it. Today is going to be a little bit probably shorter than yesterday. And we'll have a little bit more time for Q&A for anything on the mindset, or of course, anything that has been in day 1 or day 2 up to this point. So today is all about mindset, right? Day 1 was all about what happens before, like how do we make a business so we can skip the pitch? And then day 2 yesterday was all about being able to actually take somebody when they're in that moment and allow them to become a customer. And so today I want to talk about, and I want to go into the mindset of what happens when you're in the DMs, when you're on a phone call, what happens in order to build a business that actually works, to be able to build a business that actually you can skip the pitch, to build a business that works for you and works for the customer and is an actual business. And so mindset is one of the most important elements of being able to build a successful life. And, anytime that I look at somebody, the difference between somebody being able to build a multi-million-dollar business and being happy versus living a life that's really, you wake up and it doesn't feel like yours, is your mindset. And mindset isn't just something where you flick your fingers, clap your hands, and you've got it. It takes both conscious and subconscious work. But knowing what you're actually working with, knowing that you're not, necessarily a snowflake, right? A special snowflake, that what you're experiencing is normal, allows you to feel empowered to be able to take the responsibility to say, okay, this is something I'm going to work on. Whether it's the fact that you might not love yourself enough, and so that shows up in your business, or that you're not taking responsibility, that you have a little bit of a victim mindset, or you're in the drama triangle. So that when you're on the phone, you're playing the victim with people, or sometimes you're playing the villain, or sometimes you're really not empowering the other person or not being able to have the compassion. And so all these things are embedded inside of our phone calls. They're embedded inside of our marketing. Everything that we are ends up being embedded inside of our marketing and our sales and our business as a whole. And so once you realize that the development and evolution of you as a human being directly reflects everything in your life, your relationship, reflects your business, reflects your happiness, your fulfillment. Like once you actually realize that you have the responsibility to do that and to change that and to create a reality, you have a beautiful moment, because you're like, okay, well, what do I want to create? And it's also really beautiful because you have the opportunity to say, you know what, this is why these sale calls keep on going this way, or this is why someone doesn't want to work with me, right? This is why I keep on showing up as being needy. right? So a lot of these things happen, and so and they've happened to me. They've happened to a lot of the people that I mentor, a lot of people that I work with, particularly one-on-one. I'd say 90% of it's mindset work. 10% of it's strategy and tactics, and then we get into that what actually stops them. And so it's the work that pretty much everyone thinks, well that's cool, but it is the evolved entrepreneur, and it's the entrepreneur that generally makes the most amount of money, which is the one that actually works on this, right? And I always say that people either do this or they'll make money and become depressed, right? You don't have a choice. It's critical foundational work. So let's get into it. Now, there's a lot of mindset blocks when it comes to being an entrepreneur and scaling. And the ones I'm going to talk about today are largely based upon your marketing and sales. There's so many other ones that are just based upon evolution in general. And I talk about this a lot in my different programs. I have a couple of different mindset companies that are particularly for entrepreneurs. And that's a little bit more broad. But today I want to talk about the things that stop you in your tracks as an entrepreneur that's trying to be able to be in a place to really skip the pitch. So the very first is self-trust, right? So your ability to trust yourself to write a sales page or write an email or write a response, right? Gianna, for example, she has to have enough self-trust that she's going to be able to assess and have a conversation with someone that's going to lead them to wanting to work with us, or being able to say, hey, this is where you are, and come and allow us to help you. Right? For me, self-trust comes into every single aspect, right? Self-trust comes into, I trust myself to be a multimillionaire. I trust myself to be a good husband. I trust myself to be able to take care of my body, take care of my health. And self-trust is the foundation of absolutely every other element of your mindset, because if you don't trust yourself, if you have in your mind, well, when I was 21, I was $1 million in debt. And if I went around all day saying, well, 9 years ago, I was $1 million in debt. I made some really, interesting decisions that didn't really get me where I wanted to be. And I was a failure and a failure and a failure. And I should never listen to myself. And I should listen to all the people that told me that, that was it. Right? I should listen to society. I should have listened to the teachers that, told me that, I really need to get my stuff together when I was, in high school, junior high, right? And so there's a lot of chatter that goes on in our head from our past, from our relationships, from our family, from the outside world. And self-trust requires you to be able to say, okay, you know what? Regardless of what happens, I'm going to make a decision, but regardless of what happens of that decision, I'm not going to judge myself for that decision. I'm not going to make myself guilty for that decision. If I make an investment and it doesn't go the way that I planned, well, it just didn't go the way that I planned. And if I'm on the phone with someone and I say the wrong thing, later I'll just joke about it. If I say $8,000 and maybe they say no, but they would have said yes at $5,000, well, I have to trust the fact that that was the right choice. And so self-trust requires this daily belief that you are making the right decision, even if the decision doesn't have the outcome that you thought it would, right? Like a lot of things in my life, a lot of things have happened that I would have never known that would have happened. But if I didn't trust myself, I would have never been able to see that. And so self-trust inside of sales and inside of marketing is saying, this is the niche I'm going to pick. This is the avatar I'm going to pick. This is the way I'm going to position myself. Here's how I'm going to do my website or not do my website. I'm going to have a sales page or I won't have a sales page. I'm going to do a phone call or I won't do a phone call. Self-trust allows you to feel empowered inside of yourself. Self-trust allows you to be able to be responsible as a human being and own yourself, like own your decision-making. And once you own your decision-making, you will have a level of confidence where other people around you are like, well, you know what? Regardless if this person is successful or not successful, or they make the right choice, quote unquote, the right choice or not the right choice, they always own it. And people want to be around other people that just own the fact that, yeah, I made that decision and it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, but that's cool. I trust myself. I'm resourceful enough to be able to figure out anything out in my life. After self-trust is self-love, right? Of course, you cannot love yourself unless you trust yourself first. Because if you don't trust yourself to love yourself, you can't love yourself. So why does self-love matter? Well, in my own entrepreneurial journey, I made tens of millions of dollars on the pursuit of loving myself, right? And so a lot of the time we try to build these goals and build businesses and things to prove to ourselves or to other people that we are lovable, that we can validate our experience on the planet. Lack of self-love creates massive levels of neediness, right? Because you constantly need something. If you do not love yourself and you are always having external validation, whether it's from a significant other, whether it's from your family, whether it's from your friends, from your clients, from your leads, you're always going to be in a place where you are trying to justify your decision making and justify things instead of just owning it. Right? And so most of the time we go around our entire lives trying to justify every decision. We're going around our lives trying to validate our experience by other people saying, yeah, that's cool, or no, that's not. And inside of a sales process, it makes us so that we can't really own who we are. We can't really own our offer. We can't really own our positioning or our unfair advantage. And we can't own the confidence to be able to say, well, yeah, you know what? You're here. You're in this pain. I want to bring you to this vision. And we're going to do that. And self-love is the confidence to say, no matter what, I'm lovable. No matter what happens, I love myself. No matter if nobody else loves me, I love myself. But the interesting thing is, the most lovable people are the people that love themselves. And the person that has the easiest time being able to be in a place that they're in a relaxed state is the person that needs nothing, that can show up and have nothing to prove. And that self-love, while it is a journey, I'm not telling you that you just wake up one day and you just automatically love yourself, but that process of being able to deeply love this body that we're in, that we're such a special experience to be able to be in this body and to love our body, love our mind, love our decisions, forgive ourselves of the things that we necessarily may not have, done, we might have done differently in the past if they were now, and to just love the present, love us, because that then allows every single decision, every single sales call, every single time that you write a marketing post, every single time that you write an email, you're not overthinking things, because self-love allows you to be like, well, even if I don't do it right, I'm still loved. I don't need to validate this experience. Which brings us to the third one. So once you have self-trust and you have the ability to then love yourself, when you're on a sales call and you should be selling something for $8,000, but you say the words coming out of your mouth, it's $5,000, and you're instantly like, what just happened? Or you say, oh yeah, you know what? It's 6 one-on-one calls, and really it's only 3. Or perhaps you're overthinking inside of your head and you're like, oh, you know what? I shouldn't be working with this person. Why are they hiring me? And so this worthiness, this self-worthiness, this ability to know that you are worthy and that you don't have to be the expert. You don't have to be the world's best expert. When I started out, I wasn't the world's best expert. And I didn't tell anybody I was. I didn't have to justify. I didn't have to. One of the biggest reasons in this online world that people kind of get in trouble and out of integrity and out of alignment is because they feel not worthy. And because of that, they make up facts. Right? Oh, I'm not worthy for the biggest month, so I'm going to make up some facts. And they maybe fudge the truth a little bit because they're feeling a little insecure of their worthiness. But when you actually show up on a phone call, when you show up on a workshop, when you show up anywhere and you feel, again, a sense of inner worthiness, of the fact that you are here and you have the ability to have a massive ripple effect on the planet through the help that you have, through the coaching you do, the consulting you do, or the transformation that you help others have, it totally changes the entire element of your relationship with the person on the other side. Your energy is more, again, coming from a place of desire and want instead of a place of need. As well, intuitively, we know when somebody is maybe fudging the truth, maybe out of alignment. And worthiness allows us to be able to be in better alignment and allows us to simply say, this is what is for me. I'm worthy to have this experience. I'm worthy to live in the place for in my example, and this, you see this a lot of the time with upper limiting. I deserve and I'm worthy of living in a multi-million-dollar house. I'm deserving and I'm worthy of being a multimillionaire. I'm deserving and worthy of being able to work with some of the most amazing entrepreneurs and influencers and people that are going to change the world and ripple affect the world over the next 70 years. But if I didn't believe that, I wouldn't be able to own that. Right? Worthiness is the ownership of who you are and the value that you can bring, and the belief that that value has a massive return, either spiritually, physically, emotionally, or financially. Money stories. If you believe that billionaires are bad because they're rich, it's going to be really, really, really hard to have wealth. If you believe that you're going to be judged because of the fact that you have money, it's also going to be really, really difficult to have money. If you believe that once you have money, your partner is going to leave you, or you're going to want to leave your partner, you will never ever have enough money to actually do that. If you believe, this is a crazy, wonderful belief. If you believe, once I have enough money, I won't trust myself to live the life that I want to live. I feel like I'm going to be out of control. If I believe, well, you know what, I'm comfortable just having enough, you will always self-limit. You will always see the limit, and there's a door and you will never open it. And so this is what happens a lot of the time. You see an email in your inbox, somebody wants to work with you, and you delay it for a couple of days. You self-sabotage. You're on a phone call and you're like, I don't really want to work with this person. You don't know why you want to work with this person, but the truth is you're uncomfortable with the amount of money that's in your bank account, or you would be. Right? Your money stories of, well, I don't want to have nice things, but having nice things motivate me. I want to have nice vacations, but they make me feel guilty because of X. And money is good, but money only flows to those people who actually have a great relationship with money and believe that money creates good and impact in the world, in which it does. Now, a lot of people utilize money in ways that maybe you and I don't agree with, but that's not how we are going to use money. That's not how we're going to allow the flow of money. And so by creating a money flow story that is positive, that allows you to see the ripple effect and the impact effect, the economic effect of you being wealthy and rich, it allows it so that you never sabotage yourself when you're on a phone call, when you're on a text message. You never sabotage yourself when you know that you have so much more to be able to both give and impact, as well as both to receive. But if you, in your mind, can't receive and give equally with the same energy, you will never be able to receive what's meant for you. Obsessive thinking. Let me think this over and over and over and over again. So many entrepreneurs that I meet, they spend 10, 20, 30 hours a week obsessively thinking about what they have or don't have. Obsessively thinking about the sales call that's going to come up. Someone might spend 40 minutes on a sales call, but 3 hours thinking about the sales call. Or they get off the sales call and they ask, well, what did that person think of me? What did they think of me? Are they going to buy with me? Are they going to, and you think. Obsessive thinking when you're texting somebody and you think about what you're going to say for 9 minutes instead of just allowing it to be sent. When you write an email, I had a client one time and it took them 2.5 hours to write an email that really should only take 10 minutes. Why? Because they obsessively thought about what that person was going to think of them. Why? Is this email going to get enough clicks? Is it going to get enough opens? Obsessive thinking slows down momentum. It slows down the energy, because the energy loop goes over and over and over and over again, but you have to fuel that energy loop. So what do? You send the email without double checking it. You send the text without double checking it. You say what you have from your heart, what feels like channeled from your body, instead of what is just directly in your mind. Obsessive thinking slows down our business, it slows down our life, it slows down our relationships, because it creates hesitation. Number one reason why you're going to be in a car accident is because of hesitation. Second is distraction. And obsessive thinking is a distraction. So if we're looking at the two top reasons besides seatbelts that kill people in car accidents, it's the same in business. And so your obsessive thinking is creating hesitation and distraction for you and the person that's on the other side. It doesn't matter if it's in your marketing or in your sales. Both of these things create a moment where you're leaking a massive amount of energy. Most of the time it's an 80-20 rule. You're spending 80% of your energy thinking about all of these things that you really just probably should surrender to. Which brings us to divine timing. Divine timing of, I'm going to put a proposal out and it's going to happen in the right time. You know how much pressure it would be to be here on this workshop with you and have all sorts of pressure of saying, well, you know what, I need, out of the 700 people that signed up live for this one, I need 12.5% to be able to submit an application, and then Gianna needs a 50% close rate, and out of those people we need an upgrade rate. I would be so needy here. In every email and every single marketing text and every single moment in which I was here, I would always be thinking and obsessive thinking over and over and over and over and over. But instead, my belief is this. If I deliver a massive amount of value at some point between now and the next 10 years, because I'm not going anywhere, you're going to say, you know what? I love that skip the pitch thing a couple years ago. That really helped me scale from 20,000 to 50,000. Now I want to go from 50 to that. You know what? I'm going to go to Scott's thing. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. My internal belief system says that everything has a divine timing. Whatever amount of people that want to work with me right now after the skip the pitch or in the future or whatever it might be is what was meant to be. And so instead of going through life where you're always trying to go up a hill, always go up a mountain, always try to push, being in a place where you deliver amazing value, you connect to people, you do the marketing, you do the things, right? You go and you be, right? As I've said, be in your intuitiveness, be on the mountain and meditate. Come back and be able to take the intellectual consciousness and plan the plan, build the strategy, put it on the wall, figure it out, scribble it down. And then you go into willful consciousness and actually make it happen. But we're not in a place where it's like, well, I got to get that client right now. Right? If you believe in perfect timing for one thing, you have to believe it in for all, right? So if that person that's on the other side, this is why I don't like pushing. This is why I don't like pushing for a sale. This is why I don't like pushing for scarcity. Because if that person buys at the wrong time in their cycle, it's wrong for me too. It's out of integrity for both of us. Now, of course, this requires a very abundant thinking. This requires the belief that there's more than enough out there and that everything happens at that perfect time. This is why I'm such a believer in the surrender experiment by Michael Singer. Believing that everything is as it is supposed to be. And is there things that can't be explained under that? And is there things in the world that can't be explained, like climate change and all these different types of things that really don't have an answer under that? Of course, but I can either surrender to that or have obsessive thinking and completely think myself into a rabbit hole and not utilize that energy to maybe change the way that the world is. So this is a very, very, very critical element to be able to surrender to the divine timing in which you're in, which then takes the pressure off, right? Instead of me being here and thinking and having all this obsessive thinking, instead I can be here and I can actually be present. I can actually allow the content that is supposed to flow out of my mouth to you to happen instead of thinking or thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. I can be present. I meditated right before the session of what should I do? Before the session, I went for a 1-hour walk. I worked out for an hour and I meditated for 30 minutes. And through that process, I then decided, well, what do I need to share today? What is the right timing for today? What is the experience that someone needs to have today? So instead of looking at sale numbers and looking at emails and looking at social media and looking at all these different types of things, I allowed myself to be the best version of myself, but I can only do that when I'm not having some expectation and being outside of the divine timing that is. The final big one. There's about 24 of these. I'm only using 7 today. Is imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome being, I'm not good enough. I don't have the skill. I don't have the experience. And I'm not, why should I go teach my thing when there's so many other people that are better than me? Right? I had this back in 2015. Right? When I started in this online space, in this coaching, mentoring space, I said, well, who am I to do this? There's so many other people out there that are far more qualified, far more successful. I was still $500,000 in debt in 2015. How can I mentor someone when I'm $1 million in debt? Or $500,000 in debt, rather. How can I do this when this and this and this? What you have to remember is that your own story and your own path Doesn't mean that you can't empower somebody, to inspire someone, to help someone with a skill and experience. What it means is that you just need to be in integrity and authenticity of how you can help them. And I see so many coaches that should be really helping people instead of coaching people. I see coaches that are trying to be mentors and mentors that are trying to be advisors that haven't really gotten to that place to be able to help in that way. We never want to market something that is inauthentic to ourselves, that feel out of alignment of ourselves. Because every single time that we write a social media post, every single time that we write an email, every single time that we have an ad, every single time we have a sales call, we fall more and more out of integrity with who we are and who we know we are, our actual truth. But on the opposite side of this, if you're feeling imposter syndrome and it's stopping you, you're probably the right person for other people to hire. You're probably the right person to do that program, to do that one-on-one, that mastermind, that group program, whatever it is, to be able to bring what you have into the world. You don't have to be the best person in the world, because remember, it's not necessarily always what you have as a product or a service that someone's going to resonate. It's you that they're going to resonate with. The way that you speak, the way that your energy is, the way that you are and are being in the world is what resonates with somebody else. And I guarantee you, there's a lot of people out there that do not resonate with me. My energy, my vibe, what I teach, how I do it, and that is okay. I can't help everybody, and nor do I ever want to be able to help everybody. But you have the ability for what you have a group of people, your community, that feel connected to you, that feel that intimacy with you, that feel that relevancy with you. And that imposter syndrome, that little voice, must be quieted in order for you to be able to fully own just how great you are, because you're probably better than you think you are. We never want to get high on our own supply or swim in our own Kool-Aid, but we do want to be having that truth to ourselves of the fact that our impact is massive. I want to talk about neediness. Let's try that again. I want to talk about neediness. Okay? Neediness and reactivity. Now, I talked about reactivity, or being in reactive consciousness beforehand. Well, reactiveness and neediness are complete repellents. If you want to lose a sale, if you want to have a sales page that doesn't work, if you want emails that don't work, you get into a place of scarcity mindset, you write that email. If you ever write an email or get on a phone call and you check your bank account beforehand, it's not going to go as well. You know how often I want to check my bank account? Once a month. You know how often I want to check my net worth? Once a month. Right? Because I don't want to use that to judge what should I do. Now listen, I started doing that in 2016, right? When everybody's doing projections and everything else, I don't do projections. I don't do projections into the future. Why? Because it brings me too much into the now. I remember listening to Jeff Bezos and how he talks about he's never looking at the current quarter or the next quarter or the year, even the year after that. He's looking far into the future. Right? So looking at your present, if you have a present that you do feel scarcity, we have to switch that to feeling abundance. Because every single time that we're outputting our energy and we're outputting neediness instead of desire, we say we need. Come, I want more. Instead of, I prefer to have. When we come to conversations and we come to social media posts and we come to things and we bring that energy, what happens? If we do get clients, they're going to reflect and project that exact same energy, which means that we're not going to be able to have as great results. You're not going to feel as connected. You're not going to have a business that you actually enjoy. But when we show up, again, we have nothing to prove. We're coming from a place of serving. We're being the king or queen in our world, in our community. We have an attraction and a magnetization to pull people towards us instead of being able to push them into what we want them to do. Now, this neediness, can you mask neediness and reactivity? On a conscious level, you can. But on a subconscious level, everybody knows if there's like a neediness. We feel it. And this reactivity of Oh, this person's not going to do this. Well, let me bring them over here, or let me bring them there. This is the biggest reason why people lose sales overall ever, right? If someone says, hey, I don't want to do that right now, but you know what? In 60 days, I want to do this other thing. What is taught? What is taught inside of sales? Get them with the downsell. And what should we actually do? We say, okay, awesome. I'll see you on September 15th. I'll check in with you. Inside of business, anxious attachment, which is neediness, right, makes it so that you create more anxiety. Everything we sell should sell relaxation. If we're helping somebody with their health, we're making it so that they feel like they can live longer. They can feel better. If we're helping someone with their wealth, we're making them feel more relaxed. Why does someone want to be a multimillionaire? Not because of the number in the bank account. They're either proving it to somebody else, or they want to be able to feel relaxed and wake up each morning and be like, oh, I don't have to work today. And if we're helping someone in the relationship, we allow somebody to be relaxed inside of the relationship so that they feel loved, secure, and happy. So if you bring anxiousness and neediness and reactivity to your sale conversations, to your ads, to your emails, to your sales pages, to whatever it is, your state creates that state. If you're a coach that is helping people in their consciousness, you're doing the exact opposite thing that you're trying to do by doing this. I basically just said that. I basically just said this, but relaxation, trust, and divine timing allows you to have a level of influence and power, and not power in a bad way, not in the wounded way, but to be empowered in a way that you may have never experienced. You may have had moments of this, but it allows you to be on a sales call or a sales conversation or a text message and to be unattached to the outcome. Now, what happens when we become unattached to the outcome? When we become unattached to a sales or marketing outcome, what happens? We now care. We now come from a place of love. We come from a place of empathy. We come from a place of compassion. And we come from a place of what I'll use as the wording pure support. Okay, so what happens when we come from a place of pure support? When we come from a place of pure support, someone feels the genuine human being, I want to help you. Let me figure out how I can help you. Can I connect you to someone? Can I help you this? Can I do this? Can I help you emotionally? Can I help you spiritually? Can I help you physically? What can I help you with? And so when I talk to you about the 4-step sales process, when we went from pain to vision to gap to commitment, it allows you to help the person with that commitment with full, pure transparency, authenticity, integrity to themselves and to you. It allows for pure support. Now you might be saying, well, you say, you know what, Scott, that's easy for you. You already get the money, you already get the thing. I guarantee you, I cracked the code when I figured this out. I was not a multimillionaire when I figured this out. I figured it out, I applied it, and then the results happened. It wasn't the other way around. You have to remember, in life, we become what we identify with. And so people go around being like, well, you know, when I'm a multimillionaire, I'll do this, or when I do this, and I'll do this, and this level will be unlocked, and that'll be that. If you wake up and you be who you are, if you identify with who you're wanting to be, one of the biggest, best exercises you can ever do is to define and claim who your future self is going to be, and then spend every single day becoming that future self. Because if you want the things and you want the lifestyle and you want the business and everything else, that is the easiest way. That is the shortcut there. And so allowing yourself to be in relaxation, trust, and divine timing allows for you to show up, have this pure support. And when somebody feels that pure support, they're like, wow, there's no neediness. I don't have to work with this person. They just want to work with me. They want to help me. And that is very magnetizing. That is what we want. We want to feel desired, right? Desire doesn't come out of neediness. Desire comes out of want. So, sales are a lot of things. You talk to a lot of people, they'll say a lot of different things about sales. Here's what sales is to me. First, it's presence. If you're on the phone, okay, if you're on the phone with somebody, if you're on a text message with somebody, and this is why I tell you, you gotta be relaxed. You gotta have fun. Can't have fun unless you're relaxed, right? But presence makes it so that you're in that moment with them. Like you're in the pocket with them. You're not thinking about what you're going to say next. You're not thinking about what is happening. You're not on your phone scrolling Facebook. You're not answering something else. You're not being unpresent. I don't know what the opposite of presence is, I guess. You're being there with them. You are feeling their feeling. You are connecting to what pain it is that they're experiencing. You're not like, oh, well, they need this offer, they need this, or they need this, or they. You are listening to them. It doesn't matter if it's a text message, an email, a phone call, a DM. It doesn't matter where it is, but you're actually hearing what they are saying. Because when we bring presence, these three are connected, okay? When we bring presence, awareness, and attention together, our ability to be in the moment, to pay attention to where they are, and have awareness about what they are actually saying. We are one of probably 5 people in their entire life that does that. I told you on day one, yesterday, right? Sales, the 4-step sales, that is a spiritual process of bringing someone's attention and awareness to having a commitment. Okay, so if you're doing a sales call and you have 7 sales calls, this is why I love text messages, not sales calls. You got 7 sales calls in a day. I'm sorry, it is very difficult to be present for 7 hours. Right? The reason why I want you to get phone calls off your calendar isn't because I'm trying to give you just like an ultimate level of freedom. I know for a fact that once you go past 4 hours of being on a day, your ability to be present is very difficult. This is why I don't believe in the 5-hour work week. This is why I don't believe in being able to work, 10 hours a day. This is our ability to be present. We have about 20 to 25 hours a week where we can have that pure presence in a business context, not a personal context, but a business context. Once we go beyond that, we are going to shut off. So your job when you're coming to a sales conversation, your job when you're on a workshop, on an email, writing a sales page, whatever it might be, is to have presence, awareness, and attention to be able to be there with that person. That allows you to have compassion. That allows you to see and hear them. And it allows for love and empathy, because sales is about being able to be empathetic with someone, understanding where somebody is, and then being able to help them. Like when you are here, one of the reasons on the thank you page of the Skip the Pitch, and I say, hey, fill out this intake form. And you know what I did on Sunday before this? I went through it and I started reading them. I read like 70, 80 of them. Well, I was reading what you were experiencing so I can be empathetic with it, right? Sometimes in our businesses, we won't have empathy with our clients unless we're actually listening to them, spending time with them, feeling them. Why? Because our life is different. If we're guiding somebody, we've probably already figured it out. And I'll be completely transparent. The last time I had a $10,000 month, I was 13 years old. I don't know what that feels like. So how can I help somebody unless I take the time to be empathetic and transparent and authentic with them, to be able to take the time to be present and attentive and awareness and bring myself into who they are in that moment and be like, holy crap, their life is going to change when they're making this amount of money. Their relationship's going to change. Their relationship with their kids are going to change. Their relationship with their families. When I feel that ripple effect, my hair stands up. And that allows that empathy, that compassion, that love for that person, that allows me to deeply connect in a way that almost nobody can. And this isn't some like learned thing. You can't read a book to be able to do this. This is just every single time that you're on a phone call, you're on a text message, knowing the privilege that you have to be able to share that moment, to share that vulnerability that that person is having with you. And I guarantee you, when you do this, you don't look at your close rates. You don't look at every single person that you come in contact with. You just simply want to help. You don't get pissed off when someone says no to you. You're just like, oh, I can't wait to help them. When it is a yes, I can't wait to help them. It totally changes sales because now it's no longer sales. You're just trying to help the people that you're exchanging energy with. So when I met my wife, Libby, she had this quote, and I don't know who it's by, but it was, expectations lead to disappointment. And at the beginning, I thought it was a dumb quote. I'll be honest. I thought it was a dumb quote. I was like, yeah, we should have expectations of things in life, right? We make agreements upon expectations. I'm like, well, agreement and expectation is different. And over time, I guess I learned and realized that expectations not only lead to disappointment, but it actually leads to a massive level of anxiety, okay? Because expectation is about creating some future present version of what something's going to be. So expectations when you're just before a phone call make it so that you can't be present on the phone call because you're trying to lead things to that expectation. This is why I don't have sales goals. I don't do revenue projections. I don't do goals at all. None of that. Now, some people that they need that. People that, if that works for you, go for it. But for me, my ability to wake up every single morning and not have an expectation of that day, an expectation of a phone call, to be able to come here with you and to be able to just simply record this content and to really truly feel like this is just a gift to the people in which want it. That makes it so that, again, I have no neediness. My desire is to help, to come from a place of pure support. And it allows me to stay in the now instead of being in the past or being in the future. Expectations make us like, oh, I expected this, or I expected this to be this year, whatever it might be. We can't define what our year is going to be. By setting expectations, we limit how good something can be. By setting goals, the reason I don't set goals is because I don't know I don't know what amazing thing is going to come into my life. I might be going over here and my life's supposed to be going here. There's a difference between true north and magnetic north. True north, that's where we're really supposed to go. Magnetic north, that's the north where all the expectations are and our goals and everything else. I much rather true north. It allows for a much better experience on the planet, from my experience. So our ability to have alignment and integrity in everything we do is from zero expectation. Because if you do 7 phone calls and you're like, you know what, I'm going to close 4 of them. My expectations, we're going to close 4 of them. What are you doing now? If somebody's at the end of the conversation and they're at the commitments and you know for a fact there's a 50-50 chance that what you're going to give them isn't going to work. Or let's say it's even worse than that. Let's say this is not a good fit. But I'm gonna tell them anyways today, because you know what? I want to hit my sales number. It happens all the day long with sales teams, with lots of people, and I get why. All right. I'm not going to tell you that I haven't done that before. All right. Not proud of that. And thankfully, I've been able to change that over the last few years. The easiest way to be out of alignment is to tell somebody you can help them when you know you can't. And the reason why you're going to tell them that you can't help them, or that rather you can help them, is because you're trying to fulfill an expectation. Right? So if you get on 7 phone calls and all 7 phone calls, and you're in pure, support, and you're helping them, and you can't help any of them, you in your pure support, you let them go, you refer them to other people, whatever it might be, it's always going to come back to you in a positive way. Always going to come back to you in a positive way. The reason why I don't like sale goals, the reason why I don't like having goals for the month, hey, here's what our revenue is going to be, is because now I'm going to have a little bit more leniency with my alignment and my integrity because I'm trying to hit something. Right? This is why people have such high refund rates, low success rates, because they're trying to hit a goal, they're trying to hit an expectation. But when you don't have expectations, you are fully in alignment. I had a person that came to me last week, and they wanted to work with me one-on-one. But I knew, actually 2 weeks ago now, but I knew they were the wrong fit. Now, they had money ready to pay me up front. It's a lot of money. And I'd love to invest that money right now. I have some really great things I can invest money into right now. And I said, you know what? I can't. Because it's going to be out of alignment. And if it's out of alignment, it's out of integrity. Now, in my life at the moment, it's really easy to say no to. It gets, this stuff gets tested when it hurts, when it really hurts. And at the beginning, it really hurts. It really hurts to be on the phone with someone that you know that will pay you the money, but you know that you shouldn't take their money. But I can guarantee you from so many experiences, and keep in mind, I started doing this when I was not in the place where I am today, when it actually did hurt. That feedback loop, you call it the universe, you call it karma, whatever you want to call it. That feedback loop, it quickly allows you to be in alignment and integrity. And it also allows you to have a level of authenticity that you will never experience if you're trying to have and hit expectations each and every day and each and every week and each and every year. Which brings us to boundaries. Now, I really got to get better at drawing triangles, is what I've learned over the last 3 days. We talked about the triangle on day one, I think it was. You got you up here, you got your customer over here, and you got your business here. Certain boundaries people will let go of because people are okay being dominated by money. Money controls you. That is the same thing that has happened with the 9 to 5 in the world. It's a form of submission. Okay. What about a boundary? A boundary could be, well, you know what? I'm going to check my text messages 3 times a day. Right? If somebody says something against that and they're waiting, they're not for me. Right? My boundary, hey, listen, you know what? I send an email a day. If somebody doesn't like that, they can unsubscribe from the email list. That's totally cool with me. Boundary could simply be, hey, listen, this is my price, and if you want a discount, I'm sorry, that's not something I do. Right? So a lot of the time, or you say, hey, you know what? I don't do sale calls. Right? I lose sales all the time. People are like, I want to do a sales call. I want to call. I'm like, nah, sorry, I don't do it. And people are like, well, okay, well, and that's their boundary. That's fine. It's totally okay. If you want an alignment between you, the business, and the customer, if you want an alignment and a balanced business and a balanced life, boundaries are necessary. It's really easy to do. You just write them down, you put them on your wall, and you just keep looking at them every single day. And then when you break them one day, you're like, oh, okay, fair enough. Let me realign that next time. Let me realign that next time. Boundaries could simply be like, for example, one of my things I always used to do, I used to just put meetings on my calendar all over the place, right? Meetings on my calendar everywhere. And now I know that, if I go past 10 hours of meetings a week, my happiness declines, right? My happiness declines. So I built a life that allows me to do that. Right? I built a life so I don't have 10 meetings in a day like I used to, right? Because I didn't have a boundary. And when we don't have boundaries, other people's boundaries essentially come and overtake us. And it also allows us so that we're submissive to money. That's not how you make more money. Right? You make more money because you have principles and you have integrity to yourself, and you have authenticity, and you go, you help other people, you deliver value, you have the boundaries around how you do that, and you receive. And you, I don't want to use the word dominate because I hate that word, but I don't want to be submissive to people's money. That is what capitalism, unfortunately, is built on. Some parts of capitalism are built on is dominance of money. Let me get you liabilities and assets, and let me get you to buy a car, and let me get you to buy a house, and let me get you to have payments, and now you got to be stuck in this 9-to-5 job. Let me get you in a bunch of debt between the time that you're 18 and 23, so you got to spend the next 20 years paying it off. So I can put you in the submission. Entrepreneurship is the opposite of that, right? So I don't want you doing it on sale calls. I don't want you doing it on text messaging. I don't want you to ever be in a place where you have that submissiveness inside of money and you go against your boundaries. Further, when you go against your boundaries, you know the difference and it feels bad inside, and now you feel like you're out of integrity. When you're out of integrity, you can't be in alignment. When you're not in alignment, you're making the wrong decisions. I talked about this a little tiny bit yesterday. Which is leaving money on the table. Can they afford this? I meet people all the time that are more than happy because of my authority, because of my results, more than happy, pay me a lot of money. And you've got to decide that some people can't afford you. You've got to decide that some people might need to go to a different program, a lower end program. Leaving money on the table is good, okay? And the reason for this is that if you take the entirety of someone's energy, right? If somebody comes to me and they got, let's say, they got 50 grand in the bank and they've got $10,000 a month in expenses, okay? And they're like, yeah, no problem, Scott, I'll pay you 40 grand for your accelerator program. That's gonna be a bad decision. That's a bad decision. Like, that's a bad decision for me, bad decision for them. Probably not a good time. So what would I rather do? If they got 50 grand in the bank and like, I want to come to this other program and listen, you can upgrade later. People are obsessed about taking as much as they possibly can in that moment, right? In the sales moment, instead of being able to leave money on the table so that that person actually is able to stay in abundance and scarcity. And yes, you could say, well, you know what? I'm going to help them be able to make more money by taking their money. And I say, well, that's you're kind of putting someone else in the submission then. Not a good, number one, it's not a good look. Number two, people don't perform that way. Right. So we want to be able to keep some money on the table, right? Now that doesn't mean that you need to say no to, if somebody is like, listen, this is I want to do this, you know, and so on and so forth, and they're like, they're all in on themselves. I'm not going to say no to that, but I'm going to have the conversation. And when somebody comes to me, and this is why on my intake form, I say, how much money you got in the bank? How much credit do you have? Everything else. I'm not saying that to be able to be like, all right, let me take it all. Right? That's not going to go well. We empower people by being able to know where somebody is, how we can help them, and the resources they have to be able to actually execute, implement, or whatever it is. Right? Also, this also makes it so that you don't have the moment. You never want to feel it's a different point slightly, but you never want to feel like you're being a savior of somebody. And a lot of the time, if someone's giving you that kind of like last dollar, they're either outsourcing their self-trust, or you're allowing them to be the victim and you're becoming the savior. We don't want that. That energy dynamic never ends well. It never promotes high results, and it's going to create a lot of anxiety inside of your business, especially if you stack this up with client after client. I just want to check in. How's this stuff landing for all of you so far? I know we're going into some some stuff here. mindset stuff. How's this all landing? All right, wonderful. If anyone ever tells you to risk it all, run the fuck away. Yeah, run the fuck away from that. I don't know if there might be 10 or 20% of agreements of Grant Cardone, but I respect what he's built, but I don't align with the how. Yeah, I don't align with the how. Before and after interaction rituals. All right, so kind of think of it this way. Well, most people aren't really aware of the patterns that are going on. Like 97% of everything you do on a daily basis, you have no awareness around what you're actually doing. Like 95, 97%. You're not conscious of it. And so what we want to do is we want to build, not necessarily habits. I'm not a big thing. I like habits. Like I don't have like a perfect day, or like every day I wake up at 7 a.m. and I do this and do this. Like I don't believe in that for me as a person. That doesn't work for me. I like every day I want to be different. Every day is the same. If every morning is the same, I'm going to have a bad week. I'm going to have a bad week. I want a different food. I want a different routine. I want a different everything. All right. I am, as an entrepreneur, I am driven by novelty. I'm driven by every day is different. And thus, when it comes to sale calls, however, we want to have some type of ritual in which allows us to ground into what we're actually doing before and after. So one of the things that I see a lot of entrepreneurs do, and I used to do, is, there was no real ritual before and after, a sales call. And so you would just stack them on top of each other and you'd go from one to one to one to one. There's no real like intentionality around what you're doing. And so it doesn't matter what you do beforehand. You might do some breath work or some meditation, or you might have some level like that. Like when I do workshops, I have a ritual before and after. Right? Mine's pretty long. The reason is because I'm putting a lot of energy here with you. I'm putting my full who I am as a human being on camera with you. All right. When I'm on a sales phone call, some of the things that I used to do would be really the 10 minutes beforehand. I put on some calming music, never words, only calming kind of meditation type of music. And I would really feel, I'd look at their intake form and I'd really feel, I'd tap into that love and tap into that compassion, tap into all of that. I would make sure no social media, nothing else is on. And I'm completely, fully present and ready to be able to have awareness and attention with that person. And I would really, truly connect to what that person is experiencing and feeling it in my heart, feeling the pain in my heart. Like their pain is on paper. If someone's doing an intake form, you can feel it. If somebody submits an intake form, they're like, I had somebody that messaged me yesterday and they voice messaged. And before I replied to them, they voice messaged me about 3 minutes, and they talked about how they just feel stuck. They've had a multi-7-figure business since 2014, and they just feel stagnant. They feel stuck. They feel like they're not evolving. They feel like they're not going to that next level. And I really felt what that would feel like. I would feel like what that really is, like what that means for their relationship, what that means for their life, what that means for their business. And so before replying anything, I tapped into that part of my heart to feel that. Instead of me getting excited, being like, all right, they're going to be a great client in this, or they're going to be a great client on that, or whatever it might be, being able to really, 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 really feel and take time and ritual around that. And then after a sales call, being able to close that energy with that person and just allow, whether it's an affirmation, universe, allow whatever is the greatest good to occur now. Whatever it is that really allows you before and after to appreciate and be grateful that regardless if they buy something or not, regardless if they work with you or not, the ripple effect because of that phone call, because of that text message, because of that moment in time is going to be so much greater. You have the way in which you sell today and you market today. And like my desire for you, what I want for you is to evolve that. And I've told you this. If you do 3 phone calls, I want you to do 1. If you do 1, I want you to do it for 20 minutes. If you do for 20-minute 1, I want you to get the text. If you don't have authority today, I want you to be able to build that. If you don't have a lot of people that want to work with you, I want you to build that. But you got to remember that this is a process. Like once you realize, one of the biggest issues that human beings have is they can't see past 30 to 90 days. But if you can actually look past the next 90 days and you can look into the future 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and to realize that the span of time, like we actually have a pretty decent amount of time here on the planet, most of us, right? Most of us have a pretty decent amount of time on the planet. Right? And with technology, if you're below 70 years old today, our lifespan is continually increasing moment by moment because of technology and advancement. So, if you're 42 years old and you're here, what's one of the biggest problems? People are like, oh, well, you know what? I'm behind. I gotta get ahead. Again, you got to remember, like, look at the span of time. You're going to be an entrepreneur for the rest of your life. You get to spend the rest of your life crafting your craft, having experiences, being the best at what you do. You get the rest of your life to be able to help other people. And yes, it will pivot and change and evolve and reform. But if you truly follow that true north, if you follow that ability of just simply getting 1% better each and every single day, every single phone call, you're like, oh, like I could do a little bit like this. When you get a text message, oh, I could have slowed down a little bit more there. And looked at the timeline instead of being in a rush, but knowing that you're in perfect time, all the pressure goes away. So I've helped a lot of entrepreneurs scale up. I'm at close to 300 past 7 figures, most of them the multiple 7 figures. A couple dozen of them at 8 figures. Who knows how many 6+ figure businesses. I've done group calls and one-on-one mentorship and things like this since 2015. Done it a lot. And I found 7 things that really help people. And I'm just going to go through them quickly for you because you need to be kind of thinking about, how do I get these in my life? I have a way to be able to help you with this, but regardless if I can help you with it, you need to figure out how to get this in your life, because when you get these things in your life and you get these things in your business and who you are evolve. Right? So the first thing is the right information, the right methodology, the right framework. Having the right framework for where you are, for your revenue level, for who you are, for your level of consciousness, for your niche, all of those things, like what aligns with you, that is critical. That can make it so that you take 6 years to do something that could take a year. Which brings me to the right strategy. One of the biggest issues entrepreneurs have is they make the right decisions at the wrong time. So having the right strategy for the next 6 months and being able to have that from somebody that actually has done it before, can see the patterns. If you've done something successfully 3 to 5 times, you can generally guide someone else to be able to do it at some level. But if you haven't, it's really hard. And what ends up happening is you just kind of pull all the different levers and you just try a bunch of different things. And that takes a lot of time because now your energy's split. Think about it, you do 10 different things, your energy split 10 different ways. Right? So we need to be able to focus. We also need a feedback loop. Right? The ability to be able to do something and be like, okay, what do I do next? All right, here was the result. What do I do next? Right? So one of the biggest things that happen around loneliness with entrepreneurship, as well as that slows down your momentum, is you do something and you don't know if that was actually good or not. You do something, you don't know if the result was really the way that it needed to be. You do something and you're like, what do I do next? I had the plan, but does this still make sense with the plan? Because the plan has to evolve. You just don't put a plan and say, all right, here's my tablet. Here's the 10 commandments, and I had to follow them. That's not your strategy. Your strategy is not the 10 commandments. Community, but not just any community. So one of the biggest issues with communities that you have to be careful of is echo chambers. So this is one of the reasons why a lot of I don't like a lot of masterminds, because it's the same caliber of people, right? If you go into a mastermind and everyone's 7 figures, it's an echo chamber, right? So you want communities where there are people that are a step behind, a step ahead, and where you are. So what this allows you to do is the people that are a step ahead to be able to mentor you a little bit, for you to be able to be in the trenches with other people, and for you to be able to mentor somebody else, because mastery happens through mentorship. Mastery happens through lending someone a hand, being able to teach something to someone. As well, community also makes it so you don't feel like you're losing your marbles, right? Also allows with the feedback loop that I talked about. Accountability, mostly useful in willful and intellectual consciousness, but accountability, very, very, very important for most entrepreneurs, up to the point of about 3 million a year. Mentorship and coaching, obviously the ability, and this kind of goes back to the feedback loop, kind of goes back to the right strategy, kind of goes back to the right information and method. But kind of think about it this way. Coaching is the ability for someone to go up the mountain with you. Mentorship is somebody that's on the top of the mountain that's kind of shouting down, here's what you do to get up the mountain. Right? But not just any mentorship, any coaching. It has to be inside of the alignment of knowing that this person can bridge where you are to where you need to be, both from information, both from their vibe, both from being able to actually help you in your alignment. One of the most difficult things that people have, and it makes a lot of sense, is when they're building a business, they follow somebody else's advice. And if that person doesn't really build that advice for their alignment or where they're to, well, you can build a business on someone else's plan, but now that business isn't really in alignment with you, so it's not going to be fulfillment, allow you to be fulfilled or happy or enjoyable. And finally, mindset work. Today's been about mindset, and mindset work is incredibly important. The reason it's incredibly important is because if you keep on doing the same thing that you've been doing, you generally get the same type of result. Your life is your perspective. Your perspective on life builds your life. What you identify with builds your identity, builds who you are, builds your reality. And so there's so many things that, of course, we can work in the conscious and talk therapy and all these different types of things. Yes, we can meditate and breath work. Yes, we can, consciously change our subconscious, but we have to do all of these things together. We have the strategies and the tactics and the finance and the operations and the delivery and the marketing and the sales and the scripts and the things, the conscious things that we do, the strategies that we perform. But what's the reason that someone can't launch a funnel? Is it because they don't know how to do the funnel, or because of the mindset around the funnel? What's the reason that somebody can't close somebody on the phone? Is it because they can't really own their own worth, or is it because they have the wrong script? Most real problems start with the mind. They don't start with the actual thing. Strategies only bring you so far, and they can bring you a decent level, but mindset's always going to stop you. I don't know if I'm ever going to get this one open. Oh boy, I don't like that. Hold on. There we go. Next time, I think I'm going to get a whole tablet thing so that I don't have to kill trees, and I don't have to have that little noise when I flip it over. So here's what I want you to journal on. Here's what I want you to think about for today, day 3 of the 5. What are the 3 major mindset blocks that are occurring inside of your life? Number 2, what do you need to do about them? Right? What do you need to do about them? What do you feel needs to happen in order to be able to evolve that? You may not know the answer yet, right? But journal on that, write on that for a minute, 2 minutes. If you don't journal, that's totally okay. Just think about it for a couple of minutes. And out of the 7 things that I just shared with you, which ones are you missing? Which ones do you need to put in? You don't have to get this from all one place. You can kind of pick and choose and do these different pieces. And this is generally what a lot of entrepreneurs do. And they pick and choose. Let me take this from here and this from here and that from there. But which ones are you missing? Because the entrepreneurs that I've met, entrepreneurs that I've mentored, the entrepreneurs that I've seen that are successful have those 7. Almost always they have those 7 things inside of their life that they've been able to curate. Okay, so we're going to go Q&A in a minute, but I just want to take a minute to talk about Modern Business Academy. And really, more than that, my ability to help you. If you're here, chances are I have the ability to help you. If you're here and it resonates, more than likely I have the ability through the few different programs that I have to be able to help you, give you those 7 things that I just talked about, right? From being able to give you the right strategy, the right information, the right mentorship, the community. Back in 2020, I took a sabbatical starting in October that spanned until March. And in that time, I was like, well, what do I want to do? And it was kind of interesting because I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't know if it was meant I wasn't going to be in this industry anymore. And I went and researched and thought about like a lot of things. I just spent time researching. And I realized that my ability to help the education space, my ability to help human consciousness and help the people that are actually in my space made the most sense. And like I was aligned the most with that. And so that started Modern Business Academy. And so it started in March of 2021. And I built it based on those 7 things that I knew entrepreneurs needed. And I said, well, you know what? I want to build something that has group sessions with all the best experts. I want to build something that allows for personalized assessments and the right strategy. I want somebody to be able to have mentorship from me. I want someone to be able to do the mindset work. And I want to be able to, at the same time, to be able to have space in person with people. I want to be able to take all the different pieces, right? From accountability to having the right feedback loop, everything that I know, and I want to put it in one place because I'm in a place where I have the resources to build something that I believe is not current, that doesn't exist. And I also want to create a scenario where someone doesn't have to come into my sort of process or box and keep them there. A lot of the programs, a lot of things I see, like, here's what you have to do, and this is the only thing. I don't believe in that. I believe that every single person has their own alignment. Every person has their own strategy. And there's a bunch of different strategies and tactics and things to be able to bring alignment to someone's true north. And so what I've learned and what I've seen through those people that have come through Modern Business Academy in a very small, short amount of time at this point, as well as all the people that I've worked with since 2015, is that your plan and the way that you approach your business comes down to which niche you're in, how much revenue and how much profit you have, what mindset challenges and opportunities you have, your type of support style and how you like to be supported. The 6 pillars, your mindset, your marketing, your sales, your operations, your finance, your delivery. It also comes into what stage you're in of being able to implement Skip the Pitch. And we're going to talk about that on Friday. As well as your growth patterns of how you're able to grow and stop so you have a sustainable, intentional growth so that you can build a balanced life. And so this changes along with your resources, like how much money you have in the bank, how much time you have, what team members you have. So all this changes what you need. And so when I built Modern Business Academy, and in building what I believe will be the place for online entrepreneurs, for people that want to skip the pitch, for people that want to build really, really effective online businesses. These are the things that I know are different. And so one of the biggest issues that I always see is that we try to take somebody and put them in a, one size fits all. That doesn't happen. I take large. I would take a large shirt. I'd look a little silly in medium. I look really, really funny in small. All right. My pant, I have 36 pant size. I'm very uncomfortable in 34, and 38 is going to fall right off me. So why do we do that in business? All of those things are so important. And when it comes to skip the pitch, particularly of the 5 days that we're talking here, well, we need to take a look at this, your strategy, your tactics, right? So your marketing, your sales, those things. We also need to take a look at your operations and your business model, because having the wrong business model will make it so it's very difficult to actually skip the pitch and actually sustainably be able to do that. We also need to be able to take a look at mindset and your feedback loop, right? So that we're able to evolve your mindset so that we can get you where you want to be. And so everything that I'm teaching with you over the last 3 days, as well as the next 2 days, requires a lot of nuanced help to be able to get there, right? But when we build these things, along with mentorship, along with community, we get evolution that occurs in your business, evolution that occurs in your life, evolution that occurs in your relationship, everywhere. Because when you evolve everywhere. When you evolve the way that you sell, you evolve the way that you market. You evolve the way you market, you evolve the way that you are able to actually deliver your product, your service, your program, whatever it is. I think that might be it. Where is it? So we'll go to Q&A in a minute, but if you want to see how we can help you, here's what it looks like. Gianna's going to put an intake form. If you're watching this in the replay, there'll be a link. The intake form has got about 20 questions. And we're going to bring you through your pain and your vision and where you are. Your resources, how much money you have in the bank, your revenue, your profit, all of those things. Now, to make it a little bit more beneficial, we're going to come back to you and just simply say, here's where we think that you need to grow inside of your business. Here's what we think the next step is. And here's the program that we believe makes the most sense. So instead of giving you, hey, here's the program and sign up if it resonates, I want to make it relevant for you. And we're going to tell you, hey, listen, if we can't help you, we'll refer you in the best way, or we'll give you the free content that makes the most sense. If we can help you, we're going to look at your niche. We're going to look at the level of type of support that you actually need. We're going to look at your resources. We're going to look at where we know that we can actually help you. And by taking all these elements, we can actually give you, here is what makes the most sense. We have a few different options based upon where you are in your business and what you're looking for. Now, this is going to help you build a skip the pitch business in a massive way, but it's also going to help you build a balanced business that has intentionality around its scale. That's going to help you in marketing, operations, mindset, delivery, every element of the business. And so skip the pitch is one element. And by building a skip the pitch business over the next couple of years, you're going to have a much easier job being able to charge what you're worth, being able to have the influence, the money, the audience, the 4 currencies that I talked about yesterday. And it's going to allow you to be in more of a flow state, a more relaxed state, like I've talked about here today. So if that resonates with you, that is really it. I don't have some crazy sales page or anything like that. Once you submit the intake form, Gianna's going to get back to you with where we believe is the best path for where you are. If we don't think we can help you, we'll let you know. And we'll come back 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. We're not going anywhere by any stretch of the imagination. But if you do want to do Modern Business Academy, in my opinion, right now is going to be the best time. We're still at the foundations, the building of this. We've had hundreds of people join since March, so it's not beta or anything like that. This is a proven framework to be able to help you. And I'm really, 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 really excited for what we're building for entrepreneurs. I know that this is my next 8-figure business. I know that this business is going to impact millions of people through the ripple effect. And if you want to implement skip the pitch in your business, as well as really everything else that I've always talked about around marketing and omnipresence and all these different types of things, having all 7 elements of the business, 7 elements that you need as an entrepreneur, this is the way to do it. So we're going to go to Q&A. That is it. Tomorrow, we're going to be going into screenshots and all of those kind of more tactical over the shoulder type of training. I'm going to be bringing out the iPad, kind of bringing you through. And on Friday, we're going to be going on how to actually execute this and implement this based on your revenue level, based on where you are in the business, based on your niche, and how to actually integrate it. So my recommendation is to do the intake form now. We have a limited number of people that go in Modern Business Academy Plus. Reason for that is that you get a personal assessment by me. I can only do so many per month. And we've increased the price twice since we launched it back in March. Right now it's way underpriced for what it is. Modern Business Academy Plus, which is one of the options, is $6,000. There's a version that's below that, and there's a version that's above that, depending on the level of intimacy, level of help, and where you are in the business and where we believe we can actually help. So just to give you a price understanding, that is where it is. I'm not going to give you a link, hey, here, compare it, because I really want to be able to tell you, and regardless if you buy anything or not, I really want to tell you, here's where the next 90 days, here's where the next 6 months, here's the opportunity for the growth, and here's how this can help you. So with that said, I'm going to go into Q&A, whether it's about this or whether it's about the mindset stuff. And how was actually before that? How was all that? How was all that stuff? I just want to check in on that. Really loved it. Awesome. Good to hear that. What percentage do you put on creating new programs for previous clients who are in my free group versus meeting new to enroll? Lisa, I don't know if I understand that question. Could you rephrase that one for me? Favorite mindset books, you know, I don't read a lot. I like being around people. So a lot of my friends are authors, and so I end up being around a lot of them. But I mean, Surrender Experiment is probably my favorite mindset book. Biology Belief is an amazing one. I hate giving reading recommendations. And the reason I hate giving reading recommendations is like, what resonates to you, the best thing to do is to go on Amazon or go to a bookstore and like feel what pulls towards you, because that's generally the book that you need to be reading. Oh, if they've already bought your stuff, I mean, you know, the easiest thing to do is just start having a conversation with them. Hey, you know, where are you since we work together? Hey, is there something I can help with? Easiest way to be able to do it is just have a conversation. Never heard such an enlightened pitch before. I love that. Thank you. I appreciate that. How do we clean up our closed energy loop for the following? I don't think it's there yet. All right, let me just go up a little bit. I bought the upsell the ROI method. What's the difference in terms of content between ROI and MBA? Good question. And actually, you get, if you did buy that, your $297 gets discounted from Modern Business Academy. So there's a lot more content. Gianna can walk you through that, but the ROI course is just one of about a dozen programs that are in MBA. And the beauty is when you come into MBA, we tell you exactly which program based on what niche, based on your revenue level, based on all the different pieces. So we instead of you just logging in and being like, what the heck do I do? We actually tell you what you should be focused on. If you're in Modern Business Academy Plus, we literally tell you we do an intake form that's about 40 questions. And based on that, we give you essentially about a 7 to 10 page plan, and we tell you exactly which program, but not just which program, which section of the program to actually go through. Can you talk a little bit more about the different MBA versions? I'm going to do that over the next couple of days. I decided today I'm going to kind of give the overall, and then over the next 2 days, I'm going to share with you the Modern Business Academy and those different versions and how they work, just so that you have more clarity on it. Not today, but either tomorrow or the next day. I'm not sure which, to be completely honest. I wasn't even going to talk about Modern Business Academy today, but while I was in meditation, it felt like the right time to at least give you some context of how I'm able to help you if it resonates. I love what you shared about energy exchange and seeing how my unworthiness shows up. There was a client I had where I discounted and offered for her to be in my group coaching for free, and now I feel like it's not a fair energy exchange. What do I feel to close the energy loop on this? I think generally you would close out that time, like however amount of time is left, and just close that out and learn that for the future. Sometimes we don't have the ability to change the agreement in the time in which we're in because we already agreed upon it, and it would be out of integrity to do that. You know, and so we just kind of got to catch ourselves that way and know that we won't do that in the future. I really love how you talk about energy and alignment. This was powerful class. I can't wait to rewatch it. What exercises can we do to break repeating processes that you're repeating from your parents? You know, the most effective thing, and we have we do 2 meditation and breath work sessions in Modern Business Academy each week. Gianna also holds a hypnotherapy session every single week. And you also get access to Rewired, which is 12 weeks of actual hypnotherapy sessions based for entrepreneurs. So that's some really, really, really good starting stuff. But hypnotherapy is one of the most effective ways, because when you think about deep-seated patterns, you can spend 500 hours talking about it, or you can spend 5 hours actually changing the subconscious patterning. And so that's why I'm such a big believer in hypnotherapy. In Modern Business Academy Plus, you actually get 4 one-on-one sessions with a hypnotherapist that's trained specifically for an entrepreneur. When I tell you that, you know, I've built what I believe is the best programs that there are available on the entire planet for online entrepreneurs, I really believe it. Modern Business Academy Plus is actually the lowest profit margin of a program I've ever built, because the cost of actually running it is so high, because the level of support is so high. And I'm totally okay with that. Modern Business Academy, I'm not taking any profit for myself. I'm investing all of the money back into the actual business. And I'll be doing that for, you know, a considerable future. And it's because of the fact that I want to build amazing infrastructure and an amazing place where it's like every entrepreneur that's online that is ready to merge willfulness, intellectual, and consciousness, intuitive consciousness into one. It's kind of like the must. So that's what I would definitely recommend. How do we understand what are the mindset blocks? I mean, I think it's becoming conscious of you know, journaling and meditating, like what comes up, like what triggers us, what makes us feel uncomfortable, what makes us feel comfortable, what symptoms do we have in our life? If we're feeling this, why are we feeling this? Right? Why are we feeling this? Yeah, mirror work, of course. Mirror work is amazing. Hypnotherapy changed my life. How a hint question. Let me see if I can get this. Have a hint for how ethically to sell upfront products to a wide audience. I need to liquidate ad costs so that I use a deadline funnel and email series where some people say is pushy. You know, I think at the end of the day, you just kind of got to be sort of careful on. So kind of think about it this way: is I'd rather recoup less of my ad costs and have the right people on my email list and the right people in my world than be able to fully liquidate, right? So in my book funnel, if I had the wrong marketing, I could definitely I could make it so that I don't lose any money. For every $100,000 I spend on my book funnel, I lose 30 grand. I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to lose 30%. Okay. Now keep that's the front end, not later on down the road and those different types of things. And so the reason I don't do all the kind of scarcity and all those different types of things is because I would be attracting the wrong people, and they're not going to buy from me later on anyways. Anybody, you know, the book questions, I understand them. You know, every book that I've ever read has changed my mindset. Everything I do changes my mindset. It's always evolving. I don't have a belief. I have a very open belief system, right? I do not believe defined beliefs are effective as a human being, even though we have very defined beliefs, right? We go around with these like belief systems that we don't even know why we have them, right? And generally, it's us just being conscious of the fact that there is a belief system. So. I think the better question always when it comes to books is, well, what book speaks to you? What book do you pick up and you're 3 pages in, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Read that book. I can't tell you what book to read. You need to find which one really speaks to you. Of course. Oh, I love Alan Watts. I love Alan Watts. Absolutely. How do you find the strategy for your business? Do you use the 6-pillar models to decide what to prioritize? You said entrepreneurs make the good decisions at the bad timing. Is there a methodology to ensure we have the right strategy for our business? Diana, yeah, absolutely. Use very much the 6-pillar exercise. And so if you go on YouTube, there's an entire video of me going through the 6-pillar exercise on my Scott Oldford YouTube. And in my programs, we kind of build a method that's there. But essentially what we're doing is we're taking the 6 pillars, finding all the problems that are inside of our business. And my book, The Nuclear Effect, also goes through this. And then we're finding the ones that are most important and prioritizing those. Then along with prioritizing it against what resources we have, how much time we have, how much money we have, along with the internal alignment of what we actually want to do. Check. There we go. How to eliminate scarcity mindset for myself. What was your turning point? I think at the end of the day, it's like this is definitely something you have to work on a daily basis. But just look at how much actual abundance there is in the world. Not listening to the news, not listening to other people, not like tuning other people out that ever have anything to do with negativity or pessimism, only being in the positivity. At the turning point, I got to tell you, I don't know what it was, because I didn't grow up in a rich family. I didn't grow up in a wealthy family. I didn't grow up in any of that. But I always had this level of abundance, like always knowing there was like so much more. And so, so I didn't come from a place. I didn't come from a starting point where it was like, oh, there's not enough. Like I know a lot of people have been raised, unfortunately. Like most of the world has been raised. So there was no real turning point. There was more of like always having an inner knowing, that there's more for me. I had an inner belief that there was just always more, and I believed that. Either I was crazy enough to believe that, or I was that. And I never stopped to believe in it. Even though when I was $1 million in debt, and most of my inner side knew, this is not for forever. I know I am destined for something larger than that. And I think it's knowing that, believing that, and generally whatever you believe comes true. Right? Whatever you believe deeply comes true. And so we just kind of got to find that. And then generally the scarcity moves away. Yeah, absolutely could be my past life. Absolutely could be my past life. It definitely does feel familiar. And I also know that when it comes to some of this mindset stuff, there's things that don't necessarily always make sense. The things that I have to work on are going to be different than the things that you have to work on a lot of the time. Yeah, absolutely. You attract what you focus on. Advice on creating your frameworks, meaning I have tons of methods, but have not put them into a labeled framework yet. It's one of these things, I need to do, but keep putting off. You are so great. You got to focus. You got to find the best one. In my relevancy program, in the relevancy section of my ROI course, there's a whole section on creating your methodology and building it. It just takes time. You can't expect to have what I have overnight. I haven't had what I had overnight. I'm crafting a couple of new methodologies and frameworks now, and it's fun to me. So the framework that makes the most sense for your business and you have the most fun with, that's the one you want to focus on. So you just want to focus on one first. Talk about it. You want to talk about your framework to a point where you feel annoying talking about it. Like when I talk about the ROI method, I'm always like, oh my God, do I have to talk about this again? This is crazy. How many more times can I talk about it? If I'm switching markets because I feel it holds scarcity energy, but my new market is dealing with debt elimination, which also has scarcity energy because we're clearing the debts, but feel like the creation of the energy and relief from getting out of debt in half or third of the time brings a positive outcome. So how do I focus on the result that is the positive energy and the outcome? I mean, that is a massive positive energy and outcome. That is helping somebody be able to let go of negative energy or the thing about it this way, if you're in debt, you have a if you're in debt, like not utilizing debt for leverage, but actually using debt, like we're talking credit card debt, or we're talking debt that's not, you're just buying things, right? You're just buying you're buying a marker, or you're buying a water bottle, or you're buying a camera that is displaced energy. You're helping somebody get into surplus energy, and surplus energy allows us to fuel whatever we want in life. Like that is you are helping somebody literally be able to manage and flow their energy, even if they never know that, right? Even if they, from a spiritual perspective, would never resonate with that mindset or thinking format, that is what you're doing. Most of my clients are nonprofits, businesses. Typically, the person I'm communicating with are not the decision makers. How do you make the skip the pitch work? Do I switch to text or stick to email so they can forward information to the decision maker? I would do both. I would do the email and I would do the text. I would do the text for the intimacy stuff, and then the email. Hey, let me write that up so you can send it to the CEO, or you can send it to the VP. Scott, you mentioned about thinking about our mindset blocks. Any way to make this easy to do? The easiest way to do this is the symptoms of inside of your business, what doesn't feel like it's working, and then assign that to trying to find the actual mindset block or the reason why that may not be the case, right? So if you can't get, for some reason, you just can't get a funnel online, well, why is that? If for some reason you've done 10 phone calls, well, why is that? Is it like, what is that? If you can't get clear about your avatar, well, why is that? Everything in your business will always come back to your mindset. Scott, would love your opinion on this based on the masterclass. I help parents heal generational patterns and wounds. I love that. When it comes to love and relationships, very important. What is your suggestion when it comes to people saying that it needs to be free or cheaper? I have online coaching programs and a mastermind. I feel guilty when someone fills out an application form and I know that they need my help with their children and they can't afford me. I go to the phone to them knowing they can't afford me, yet I want to help. What would your advice be? I would tell you just to create free content if you want to do that. Do free videos, do free blog posts, and direct them there. Don't get on the phone with those people. Those people are not supposed to be inside of your intimate energy. And so by getting them into your intimate energy, they're essentially pulling your energy down. Okay, so when someone's energy is in, oh, this should be free, or this should be cheaper, or this should be whatever it might be, and you know the difference, like this is one of the reasons I give so much free content. There's a lot of people that will never be able to afford to work with me. They will never be able to afford to buy a program. They will never be afford a group program. But maybe 3 years from now, I get so many people that are like, hey, I went to a webinar back in 2016. I bought your book and I did this and I did this and I finally had $20,000 a month and I finally want to work with you. Well, now it's the time to talk to me, right? That's really it. What was the mindset perspective that allowed you to see beyond or transcend getting out of debt, and how did it refine your relationship with money? Once I got out of debt, I was like, wow, I really spent a lot of energy overthinking that one. That's how I felt. I thought I was going to feel some, euphoria thing. All I realized is I created an identity around debt. I created an identity around, look at me getting out of debt. Look at me, oh, look, I am in debt. It was a victim story. Oh, poor little me. Well, I don't have time because I'm in debt. Oh, I don't have money because I'm in debt. It's bullshit. It was bullshit. It was bullshit. We buy into the story look, think about it. We buy into the story. So here's what happens. Look what happens. If we're looking at a generalization, someone doesn't trust themselves. Someone don't love themselves. Someone doesn't know the direction in their life, so they go to university or college because they're told to. So by the time they're 22, 23, they get out of university or college. Now they got to pay $400 or $500 or $600 or whatever amount of money it is. They still don't know what they want to do, because at the end of the day, we don't know what we want to do generally in our 20s. All right. But we got to do something because you got to pay off the debt. But what? So we go do something and then we end up 10 years down the road and we still don't know what it necessarily is. And we keep on racking up debt and we keep on racking up debt. And also because we don't have any financial literacy for the most part. Right. So we sign contracts and we do credit cards and we do all these things without ever even actually thinking about it. So all these things happen, and there's so much societal pressure. Oh my God, you're in debt. How bad is debt? Let's get the debt paid off. Let's do this. Let's do that. And then let's also think about the fact that an entrepreneur and somebody that has a day job tracks to inflation. All right. So 2 to 3% a year. If you're good, if you're really good, maybe 10% a year. Right. So by the time that you're 55 years old and you've been working in corporate for about 30 years and all these different types of things, you think you're making more money, but are you really? Or is it just the fact that it kept up with inflation? Now, the person who has debt and only has 3% increase a year should probably pay their debt off as soon as possible. Totally up about all that. I get it. But an entrepreneur, we don't live in the linear. We live in the exponential. We can make $1,000 last year and we can make $150,000 this year, and next year we can make $1 million. So debt is an identity that if we disattach to, we can get away from very quickly. Because debt also puts us into a victim mentality of saying, well, we can't do this. I can't create my reality. I can't do that. I can't do this. I can't. And so finally we're like, oh yeah, we can't. And so instead we are like, well, who cares if I wake up, late? Who cares if I don't do that? I'm just going to live my mediocre life being in debt. Well, the opposite of, how do we get out of being a victim? We take responsibility for our situation. And we're like, well, I'm going to empower myself to be resourceful. And this is why I love entrepreneurship. This is why I believe that entrepreneurship is so important, because entrepreneurship allows us to go and create a better reality for other people and thus to create a better reality for us. Because anytime that we give value, we're able to get a percentage of that value back. Really simple. Doesn't matter what it is that you're doing. Doesn't matter if you're helping someone in the business, the life, the relationship, you're selling widgets, you're whatever it is. And so debt is a mindset that it reinforces a level of disempowerment and submission. So if you want to get out of that, then you need to not focus on the debt. I don't believe that we should focus on paying off the debt. I think that we should focus on creating a reality in which we're able to help other people, and the debt will pay itself off. People focus on the thing. It's just like if you want to make a lot of money, don't focus on making a lot of money. You got to focus on helping a lot of people or helping a lot of people deeply. Yeah. Well, my debt got created by my ego. My debt got created by me thinking that I was the one that was really good at what I did. And my belief system is the fact that the words that I say and the things that I do are kind of channeled through me, not necessarily always of me. And I think that, because of the fact of my teenage life, and I ended up winning all these awards and all these things, because of that, I started to believe my own story. You should never believe your own story. The story that people create of you, you should never believe that one. You want to believe your own story. And so I started to believe an alternative story, maybe a fake news story of who I was, and that maybe I was great, and maybe I was good. People ask me, as a client asked me when I started Modern Business Academy, well, how great does it feel that you know that you're not going to fail? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel that way. I might fail. This may not work out. I want it to work. I think this is the greatest thing I've been able to ever build. But I don't have that expectation. I don't think I got a lot to learn on the way. Right? Even just because I've had some good hits now doesn't mean that that's always going to be the case. I never do something expecting that it's going to be successful, because, when I was 19 to 21, it doesn't work that way. Right? It doesn't work that way. And, let's be honest. You give a 19-year-old or an 18-year-old kid a bunch of money and no mentorship. And, the odds were not with me for me to be able to keep that money by any stretch of the imagination. Part of the reason why I love mentoring people today is that I, in some way, feel like I'm mentoring myself, and I try to always be the mentor and advisor I wish I had when I was younger. My parents didn't know what to do. I was making more money than them by the time I was 14. So I lived in a small town in the middle of nowhere in Newfoundland with zero resources and a very difficult time to find a mentor. And so someday I'm sure I will help child and children entrepreneurs to be able to make it so that, little kids that were the same as me are able to be empowered to be entrepreneurs. But I'm glad I went through the experience when I did. I went through the experience when I didn't have kids. I didn't have really a significant other. I didn't have any responsibility. I failed, learned, and here we are. Yeah. How did you manage to keep the faith that you'd turn around your situation massively, even though the evidence was the contrary? Your story is so inspiring. I think I just have you ever heard the term of reality distortion field? It's used in a book that describes Steve Jobs quite well. I don't want to describe or compare necessarily to Steve Jobs, but I think a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people utilize reality's distortion field, RDS, and I think I did. I think my reality was distorted. I think it's important actually to distort our reality sometimes, especially when we're in difficult situations. And I'll figure this out. I'll figure this out. I figure it out. Great challenge, but I figure it out and have fun with it. I didn't have fun with it at the time, but I look back and I was like, how much I learned? I learned way less getting into debt than I did out of it. Right? When I was successful, you learn so much less when you're successful, but when you fail, you really. I spend my day mentoring other people not to make the same mistakes as me. People pay me a lot of money to not make the same mistakes as them, or same mistakes as me. I think you just gotta look at, you know what? Over the next 40 years, I'll figure it out. I'll be the first buyer of your entrepreneurship program for kids. I'm actually becoming an investor in one instead of doing it myself. But I'm sure that'll happen at some point in the near future. Guys, I think that is it for today. I love you all so much. I will see you tomorrow. I'm excited for tomorrow. I just want to see a raise of hands. Or how'd you enjoy this session today? Was it what you expected, different, somewhere in between? No, I got a 10. All right, wonderful. I love 10s. I live in Venezuela and the mindset is only different. I would love to have it even before. Thank you, Scott. Wonderful. Had me tears at one point. Wonderful. I love this so much. I love it. 99.9. I love 99.99. Makes it so that it doesn't go to my head, right? All right, everybody. I love you so much. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for spending time here with me. Really, really excited for what's to come. Bye, everyone.